Hello and welcome to the launch of the MOJ strategy, Our Next 10 Years. And also today we are launching the new Justice Shared Story. I'm Emily Tofield and my communications team are helping to facilitate today's event. This story really is for all of us. It's for everyone who works across our justice system. From those who see to it that sentences are served, those who encourage offenders to turn their lives around, those who safeguard victims and regulate our legal services. Whether you work in policy, procurement, probation, or in our prisons, whether you're one of our partners, and I know there are some of you here today, or you work with or in our courts, what you will hear about in a few moments is about and for you. Download the strategy, have a look at the story, go and share them with your teams and help make them meaningful for them. I'm very pleased to be able to hand over to our Permanent Secretary, Richard Heaton, to launch the strategy.
Why are we launching this today? Ministry of Justice Strategy, Our Next 10 Years. One reason, actually, is that 10 years ago, when we were created, we were a bit of a shotgun marriage between the prisons that came out of the Home Office and the Lord Chancellor's Department, or DCA as it briefly was, that ran the courts and legal aid businesses. And somehow I think, in the haste with which the department was created, we never really claimed a purpose or an identity or a high ground that captured what I think many of us in our bones believes a really, really important mission, important set of principles. So you'll see here, we call it the Justice Story, some sentences about justice. They're written, I hope you'll find, in plain English. There's no Latin, there's no jargon. It's not a script, it's not something we ask you to learn by heart, but I hope that wherever you are, you'll find words here that capture why you feel, why we all feel this is such a noble cause. Because justice, let's face it, is really important. It's really inspiring. Several of us work directly with victims, witnesses, vulnerable people, people in trouble, kids in care, families facing marital breakdown, people needing access to justice, offenders, ex-offenders. We have the real chance, and just imagine how important this is, we have the real chance to help people improve their lives. That, if you look at all the things done across government, that is about as noble as it gets. We will be a department that is not only gets things done, but does things respectfully, inclusively, that draws on the best of everyone's talents, a department that gets results and does things the right way. We have it within us to create the best government department of our age, the best the Ministry of Justice has ever been, a department that absolutely punches above our weight to deliver not just for our ministers, but for the public we serve. So I'd ask you to join me in making that come about. Thank you very much.
Now, I've now been Secretary of State at this department for 7 months, and what a 7 months it's been. It's been the best job I've ever had in my life, but it's also been probably one of the toughest situations I've found myself in. We face real issues with our prisons. We've also got some challenging situations with our probation services, and I recently visited the London CRC to hear about what they've been doing. In our courts, I'm afraid to say, although some of our courts are very fine, some of them could do with a lick of paint. The way I look at the situation is the only way is up. We can and we will get better, because I don't believe the counsel of despair of people who say our prisons can't get better, we need to do something totally different, or our probation services can't get better, or it's inevitable that people with low levels of education, with mental health problems, will commit those offences. I think that's totally wrong. I think we can do better, and I think it's within all of us here at the Ministry of Justice to do better, because what is more important to our country than having a fair justice system? It's something that we often forget about, but in times of crisis, it becomes incredibly important, whether that's a crisis in somebody's life or whether it's at a major point in our nation's history. And we know we're about to go through Brexit. One of the things I want to see is more numbers. I love numbers. So if we can get more numbers, if we can get better at tracking how we're doing, we can see our improvement and we can make ourselves know that we've made progress. We're all going to be here for at least another 10 years getting this thing done, because it is a long list, but won't we be in a good position once we've done that? Thank you.
But I've spent a lot of my time going and talking to people who work in our courts and tribunals about what they do every day. And what I hear when I talk to people is a lot of passion and commitment. People really understand why they're here, why what we do is important. We're all here to serve the citizen, to give them the best possible justice system. It's also quite important to make sure that we understand the vision that we share and the way we want to work together to deliver it. And for me, taking this to the next stage and starting to think about the values that underpin the strategy is incredibly important.
Many of you will be familiar with those 4 Ps from Gus O'Donnell about what we need to be as civil servants: professional, passionate, pride in what we do, and pace, which the Secretary of State loves, in how we deliver it. But I've always said there's one missing. It's about purpose. And we all have a purpose about what we do that is an absolutely fantastic unifier. That purpose is about serving the public. It's about working for an organisation that can make a difference in people's lives. And what a purpose it is to say, as that says up there, that our job's about protecting and advancing the principles of justice.
The Ministry of Justice is much, much, much more than criminal justice. I know many, many people do work in the environs of criminal justice, but we are about wider justice.
I think there's been a huge amount achieved by the MOJ over its 10 years, and I wouldn't have joined this department from another. I was previously at the DWP unless I thought what it was trying to achieve and its values were important.
And we've tried to, over the past few months, make sure that many different voices have been heard in putting together this plan.
So I think that we're on a really good path at the moment, and I think if we can really maintain that momentum, we can achieve a huge amount in the coming weeks, months and years together.
Please work out what your team is doing to make this department better, more unified, delivering on these priorities, and help us to be the best department we possibly can be. Thank you very much for coming today. Thank you.